according to Islam. How are you?
Listen, where's he gone?
I'm here.
There you
What's
are.
going on,
Listen.
boss?
No, I'm all right. I'm all right. You saying you
Good.
good, yeah?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Listen. Listen, man. I think you got. I don't know who's been spilling these ideas to you, man. But you're a bit confused.
All right. Tell me why.
You're a bit confused, man. No one is saying if she knows her ABC, she's a woman, man. That's a bit mad.
Okay, that one was a bit of a joke. But what is a woman according to Islam?
All right, look, look. Firstly, yeah, let's just get the common ground.
Okay.
You understand that in Western societies, compared to countries in like Africa, in the Arab countries, Asian countries, children are different. Yes or no?
Yeah, they're different in certain ways. Yeah, sure. Of course.
Yeah, yeah,
Adults
yeah.
are different, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like for example, when I was in Egypt, I saw a 7-year-old. He was waking up the whole town, filling up waters in everyone's tanks. If a 7-year-old in the UK or America, is he gonna do the same thing?
Yeah, maybe it
He's
depends.
crazy.
I don't know about the UK. I can't speak on the UK. In America, it's very possible. Depends on where that child lives. So if that child is from rural Pennsylvania, yeah, that child is gonna be waking up.
Yeah,
He's gonna be milking the cows. He's gonna be getting the eggs from the chickens before he, get
yeah.
ready to
But
go to
then
school.
majority of it,
If the
yeah,
child is from Atlanta, no, he's gonna be
yeah,
waking up, turning on his Xbox, eating his Cheerios,
literally,
getting ready to go to school. So it depends.
literally, yes. But majority of the time, they're gonna be waking up and playing their iPad. Yeah,
Yeah, it depends. Majority of the time in cities, right? Yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. And so I'm assuming you're talking about the marriage of Aisha. Yeah.
Not
So
necessarily,
if the
right? That's
prophet,
that's one example, but just in Islam generally, right? It's not necessarily that's a good example because probably, but just in
yeah,
Islam generally, what is a woman? What constitutes being a
oh
woman?
shit. All right, cool. Now we're gonna stick to Aisha because that's a lot of people. A lot of people they have a
That's
bit
fine.
of a yeah. So now people they dispute her. Now I'm not gonna say that she. A lot of people say she's 19. No, 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 no. At the time, there's a hadith that says the marriage was consummated when she was 6, and the actual marriage happened. The other things was when she was 9. That's when the marriage actually happened, and I've got no problem with that. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
And you're gonna okay. Now look, we agree that in different time periods. Now, for example, a 9-year-old is not gonna be the same 9-year-old 800, 1,400 years ago. Yes.
Yeah.
And if we've got evidence, a lot of people they like to talk about the hadith where she was 9, but they don't want to talk about the other hadith when she says, "I was a woman. I was a woman when the
Yeah.
Prophet
See, once
married
again,
me."
here's the question, right? What is a woman? We
Now
kind
in
of begging the
Islam,
question here.
yeah, 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 yeah. Now in Islam, for someone to reach womanhood
Yeah.
and ready for marriage,
Yeah.
there's three categories that she needs to fulfill.
Yeah.
Even for a man as well,
Okay.
they need to be past puberty. They need to be emotionally what's the word I'm looking for? What's the emotionally ready and physically ready.
All right. So now let's slow down here. Past puberty. That just means she had her
Yeah,
period, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
she had a period. That's checked. How does the Quran or the Hadith or the Tafsir, or whatever, the fiqh, how does it describe this emotional intelligence?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. But then I just know those are the three categories that someone needs to fulfill to be ready for marriage.
And hence is the
You
problem,
understand?
right? So when you leave that so broad, when you say I don't even know exactly what that emotional
And
and
a
mental
lot of the time, it
intelligence
comes
means.
down to the female herself and the family and the parents. It's the female feeling that she's ready, and she's ready for it.
Yeah.
Then who are
Here's
you to say no?
it's
You're not
it's
ready
the
for marriage.
same way a child may tell me they're ready to live on their own. A child that's 14 may come to me and
Mm.
say, I'm ready to live on my own. Me being an
Yeah, yeah,
adult will say, no, 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 you're
of
not.
course.
Right?
Yeah, I
So
know.
of
But
course,
then
just because a girl says she's ready, right, that doesn't necessarily mean she's ready. Number two in
obviously
Islam,
not. Yeah, obviously.
and number
Yeah.
two in Islam, her silence is consent according to Muhammad. Muhammad says if she doesn't say hell no, if she don't say no, then
Mm.
then silence is consent.
Yeah,
So
it's called silent approval. Yeah, silent
yeah,
approval.
yeah. So it could just be a girl who is too afraid to stand before a 50-year-old man and say, I'm not ready for this. She just don't say
No, no,
nothing. She married.
because we have hadiths of her saying that she was happy to do it and she was a woman.
Yeah, I'm more so.
Authentic,
Well, yeah. What's the hadith that says she was happy to marry Muhammad when she
authentic.
was
I'll
6?
provide that.
Yeah, give me that hadith.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah,
seen that one. That's what I missed.
yeah. Yes, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of
Sure, yeah. Just let me
what's the
see it.
word I'm
I'll
looking
take a
for?
look at it.
Yeah. As soon as I'm off the live, I'll what's it called? Because I gotta go off the app, and you know what I mean. I'll just put it in the comments so you can read it.
Yeah.
But then, but as I was saying, yeah, um, and especially children back then compared to now. Even if you look at the death rates, people were dying younger those times, so people were naturally getting married younger as well. And
You know,
you get
right?
you
So
got
well, I don't necessarily agree with that. One, when you look at early death rates, yeah, children got married a little bit earlier, not a whole lot, right? So now the average age of marriage is around 22. Back then, the average age of marriage is like 16. So it's a little younger, but it's not that much younger. Number two, the reason why mortality rates are so low then is just infant mortality. It's not as if people were
yeah,
just dying. You know, they weren't dying at 30. I think the average age is probably 30. No, but it's that like 25% of the population died before they were 5. So of course
that's what
that's
I'm
going
saying,
to
bro.
drag the average age of life expectancy way down because like 25, 27% of the population before they were 5 was
Yeah,
out of here, right?
that's what I'm saying.
Point being, right,
Bec-
we still cannot find these mass examples of 54-year-olds getting married to 9-year-olds.
no, we can. If you look into
Mass,
history,
you can find on
I'm
mass, you can
talking.
find these examples.
Look, listen to this. I'm talking about, yeah, societal norms back then. It was because look, people they called Muhammad a lot of names back then,
Yeah.
but not one of them came to him and said, "This guy's a pedophile."
How
Not
would
one.
how would they know? Right, here's the thing. Right, in
That's
Islam,
what I'm saying. It's
right? No, no.
society,
I'll give you an example.
normal.
No, no. I'm saying how would they know? In Islam, right now. So let's say Afghanistan, for example, they're saying that you should take the windows out of houses so people won't look at your wives. This is some. So in Islam,
I
it's
don't know
not as
about
if
yeah,
it's not as if you go around broadcasting, "This is my wife. This is my wife." How would anyone who was an enemy of Muhammad even know that Aisha was his wife? How,
Can I tell you
they
why?
would have no way to know. How would they know? Go ahead.
Because Aisha, she was known, and because she
No,
was a teacher.
how do you know she was known? Can you
Because
point to me?
no, no,
No, can you
yeah,
point to me
she
a
was a teacher.
non okay, point to me a non-Islamic history source that mentions Aisha.
How am I gonna do that? That's flipping it. But I'm saying,
That's my point.
I'm
My point is
saying,
that no one knew. So you can't use the example of no one said he was a that's because no one knew. We just got access. I'll
but
give you
then
an
how
example
do
in the
you? But
West.
then,
The West just
yeah,
got access to Hadith in like the 1990s, 1980s in English. We
yeah.
just got access to the Hadith in English like the 1990s. So we didn't even have
Okay,
any idea that Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 until like the 1990s. So what makes me think a bunch of random people that the Hadith wasn't even written yet to know how
mm,
old Aisha was
no,
when he married her. No one would know who his wives were. In Islam, your wives have to cover your face. They can't talk to people in public. They can't.
no. That's
Can
Bro,
Aisha? No, okay. Let me ask
bro,
you a question. Right?
that's
Is
not
free
you're incorrect
mixing
about, brother.
is free mixing allowed in Islam? Yes or no?
premixing. In terms of what about men and women like
Yeah.
mingling together. No, it's not
Yes.
allowed.
Yes.
It's not allowed. It's not allowed.
It's
It's
not
not allowed.
allowed. So why? How in the world would anyone know Aisha was his wife? That's not a Muslim. She's a
No, because
woman.
you can leave.
She cannot speak to a non-Muslim.
Wait, let me speak. Let me speak. Because you can leave. You could, bro. You're acting like the wives are just locked up in the house. They
Yet
leave
they
the house
cannot
with the
speak to
husband.
non-Muslim. Okay, my point being, right? If you saw a man, a 50-year-old man walking around now with a 9-year-old little girl, you wouldn't
I'll
assume that's
condemn
his
that.
wife. You would assume that's
I'll
his
condemn that.
daughter. So how do we
I'll
know?
condemn that.
Yeah, sure. Someone might have saw Aisha with a 54-year-old man. Someone may have saw Muhammad with a little 9-year-old girl. They just figure, oh, that's his daughter. Like any other
Nah.
regular human. Why would they assume that's his wife?
Should I tell you why? Should I tell you why?
You can
Because it was
try.
a societal norm back then.
It's not
It was a
prove it.
societal norm
Prove
back
it was a
then.
societal norm for 54-year-olds to marry 9-year-olds. Prove that. You just
All
saying
right.
that. Can
I
you
Okay.
prove it?
Can I ask you a question? Can
No,
I ask you a
no. You
question?
keep. You made a bunch of claims. I want you to prove one of these
No, no,
claims you
no.
made.
One question I want to ask you.
Sure.
Yeah. For the obviously you see the age of consent changes over time, right? I'm
Yeah.
saying even like okay, so would you call the people, let's say in the early 1900s, who are marrying young,
Yes,
therefore
right. Because in
would you
America,
call them pedophiles?
we have this thing called the census, where we can actually see the age people getting married. Even
Right.
though, right, the average age of marriage in the U.S. was lower, the average distance between ages in the US has never went over 4 years. The average age of difference in age between people who are getting married in the US has never went over 4 years in life. It's never happened. It's always been
How,
this.
how,
The
that
average
back to
age.
you were
Yeah, hold
saying
on. Let me
unisex
finish my
life,
statement, my
let me
man.
speak. Let me
I
speak.
ain't
Let me
even
speak.
talking to you yet, bro. You next on the list. You just
Yeah,
hold
let me
on.
speak. Let me
All right.
speak. Let me speak.
Now,
Carry on.
the average age of the difference in marriage in the US has never eclipsed 4 years. When the average age of marriage for a woman in the US was
No,
17,
you can't say that.
I have the data. We have a census in the United States. We have a census. Since the 1800s, we have had a census where they go around and ask people these questions. We have records. So I can say that because I actually have proof. I'm not just pulling out of my butt. I can put it on the screen and show you the chart of the average age of marriage for men and women in the US. The average age for women and the average age for men has never been more than 4 years apart. So my argument is not that at some point in history, it wasn't normal for a 15-year-old to get married. My point is it was never, ever normal for a 9-year-old to get married to a 54-year-old. That's never been normal. That's always been strange. And everyone has always looked at it as strange. It's never been a point in history where people looked at a 54-year-old man and said, yeah, go marry a 6-year-old. And you can't prove that it has. Bring me any evidence that it was normal. Not that one random king did it, but that the average people in the world thought it was normal for a 54-year-old to marry a 9-year-old. Doesn't exist. One sec, that's fine. Yeah. It does not exist.
Look, that's the three things, the three categories I gave you. That's when a woman becomes a woman, and it's not like a age of consent when you're 18.
Yeah.
It's a one size fit all. Nah, it's
but I want to say though, right, that those are very broad, right? So you could argue that a 13-year-old meets all those requirements. Would she then be a woman according to Islam?
She meets all those requirements.
Yeah, she has it, according to, okay, cool. Yeah, so that's my issue, right? So my issue is you can't define to me what emotional intelligence is, right? You don't know what that means. So then someone could just say that, okay, this 12-year-old is emotionally intelligent because she doesn't cry when she don't get apples.
No.
Okay, so you would have to prove to me Islamically what that means.
You know what? That's a very good question you just asked, and I'm actually going to look into that, and I'm going to see what it means to be emotionally intelligent. Right. You know what I mean? And what, are you going to be on live all day today, or what?
I'll be on until at least 2, maybe 2:30.
Yeah, what time's the
It's 10 o'clock here, 10:20. So I'll be on about 4 hours.
What state you in? What state you in?
I'm in Georgia.
All right, I'm gonna find out the time differences. I'm gonna be back in a bit with the evidence.
All right, sounds good, man. That sounds perfect. All right, God bless. All right, Abu Toes, how you doing, man?
I'm chilling, brother. You?
I'm good.
Excuse me.